investors. You didn't say that you had that. We're asking if you have the money. You're like, no, I'm not expecting you guys to mortgage your house to pay for a $26 million project.
Right.
But having the money is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
You know, you either have an investment team, companies, whoever, whatever these people are that have the money, and there should be some sort of legal way that they'd have a letter, even if it's from a firm and you don't know who the silent people are, or an attorney's office, something that's legal documentation. We're going around for years here, and there's never been money. I mean, anything I've ever built or done in my life, I had to have the money or have the means of getting the money before I even can go to a builder or something, or to go buy his piece of property. And that's where we've been all along. We hear about, we don't have this, we don't have that. We had coronavirus, all these things. I was banking the whole time. I was purchasing things. I was making deals. So I guess until we can get money, I mean, this council here is, we want to move on this property.
Right.
We're not saying we don't want the project. The project has not moved itself. The city is not holding back you guys acquiring money with your and everything else that, you know, you would provide your performer, whatever you want to show these investors, you should be able to come up with something.
I just want to make, I don't want to be the judge here, but here's where I'm coming from as someone who has to sit here and possibly give out $5 million. I want to know, number one, I have some serious doubts. Your 70% occupancy rate, 365 days. I was in a motel years. I can tell you flat out, if you can do 300 of the year on a Sunday in the winter time, you should be running the Taj Mahal, because there's no way. And then if you lose, it goes up to 75%. I don't see 50 rooms a night, 365 days out of the year in the wintertime. In the summertime or in the wintertime, most of the door places in door county, big places and small, are closed. So I have a real problem. I would, my point is, I don't think the city is real involved in your project unless if you think you can do 70% without city money, that's something you need. If you want $5 million from it, I want to know that the project is going to succeed. I'm not going to, I mean, if I go to the bank and I want to expand in my business, they're going to want to know somewhere if this is going to succeed, or they're not going to money. I don't, to be honest with you, I'd like it to succeed, but if it doesn't succeed, you're not spending city money. I don't have I mean, I do have a problem because I want it to succeed, but if you're coming to us to taxpayer money, that at some point in time it fails, the city would be in bankruptcy. We don't have the money. How would we pay $5 million back?
You have to borrow every penny of that money.
So, tip in the, isn't it a pay-go?
It can be. There's multiple different ways. Sure, you can still do it as a pay bill.
But that's why it's in our budget. And if it doesn't, if there's no tip, it's in our budget, we're still gonna do this thing. The only reason I brought it up already, is because that was would be responsible for it. That's what the tip does. If there's no tip, they're higher. If they're desired by the city to create or go after tip, then we're on the hook for it. It would be a pay-go if there was.
Just interrupting with it. Suppose the city, and I'm just using this as an example here. Suppose you didn't get the money in front. Suppose you got money on the end. Suppose the city said, hey, well, I'll tell you what you do. You get it built. You get your $26 million, $25 million project built. All up and running. It's open. The hotel's open. The spa's open. The restaurant's open. Everything is open and operated. And you get the millions of dollars at the end at the ribbon cutting ceremony. You don't get it in front. It protects the city from a failure and the city of $5 million.
That's pay-go.
No, well, pay. I'm not talking about pay as you go. I'm talking about pay on the end.
Or however you want to do, that's fine. If we have to come up with the 5 million on top of it, have to go added to the, or with the 24.5 million.
Well, that's like I say, that's what got boxed out.
When, 24 million dollars. Come up with those numbers.
24.5 as of, what is the date? It's Monday, so as of last week.
That's correct.
We adjusted it because of new construction,
What was it before?
26.
It went down?
It went
That big. You saying it went down?
No, it was 2020.
Okay.
Well, does anyone have any other questions? Otherwise, we got a decision to make here.
I read the analysis based on what our city attorney had to say. The issues that were brought up, even with taking out the 77 Ellis Street part of it. Even with, if we came up with put 30 days in there to rediscuss, come back with something to us. The options given us for this recommendation sheet, I would that be an option 3 at this point. And it doesn't mean that you can, and it doesn't mean that on what you want to do, back to the city with what the city needs. You've heard our concerns. But I would recommend that the city pursue option number 3.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Motion, is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay,
Pursue option number 3.
Is there a second? We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? We can have discussion after. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, just have a quick one. Get the mic. Okay.
Ron has a question, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Not very long. Not very long. Talking about, when I said that this was a blanket exclusivity clause, that after the 30 days. Are you saying that once we signed it, in 30 days, you can come to us with a developer's agreement, a written developer's agreement? In 30? Okay. So if we gave you an exclusivity for 30 days, you have to come to a developer. I am not going to approve a blanket exclusivity clause.
We basically did that in November. We did that in November. We didn't give them exclusivity. We asked them for.
When the analysis already says that to do it this month, it's gonna exceed $300,000. And this whole thing is gonna be problem.
I'm just asking.
I'm thinking of the last.
Actual date. That after you sign it, I think it was. I can. Don't want to.
Everybody in the room is these numbers.
option 3. What is
You know,
even
and it
sign
gets
for
back to
option
that
3?
point. That's cute.
We had option 1.
Reject.
Fine. RFQ.
75 to 90%. Including the pen. You're hearing what's that?
But not.
Population. That they went through 350. Yeah, God bless them, but we don't. We are marketing, restaurant and property, not a hotel.
Wendy?
Clarification. I understand that if we, contract purchase approval of the same readiness for the construction of the ability to identify any and all environmental issues that the city is responsible for identifying environmental issues that may have been, maybe I have to do that one. Is that enough? Okay. And that we are supposed to and for the public. For all that,
And ready.
for $300,000. I think, no, we get free.
Yep.
So I have to make sure that.
Can I I'm gonna just read what option 3 is that was mentioned as the motion. Reject the LOI and proceed with the request for qualifications RFQ for seek further development options for 7. So we have a motion and a second.
I just have a question.
Call the question. We need to call a vote. Would you call, please? Oh,
Nikki. We're voting.
What is, you can't,
call the question. We're calling the roll.
Eric Woznicki,
Do you support the motion for option 3 and reject the LOI and proceed with RFQs?
Kathy Brown is absent. John Blaha,
No.
James Brewster,
no,
Wendy Shelton, Janita Zimmerman,
No.
Robin Nelson, Richard Taylor.
Motion failed. Go ahead with your question then. You want to ask some questions? Well, then,
that's what I'm saying.
but does everybody understand what the attorneys? Some, Heath, would you words back around what the summary was from the attorney based on the LOI, regardless of a sunset date, a developer's agreement date, the body of the LOI in the opinion of yourself and the attorney, please.
Well, the city attorney summed it up as developers offering to purchase properties only after the city. Environmental review. Thus far, we've completed everything. There was left in the ground yet, and there was never a paper. Everything else has- Clear the remaining structures, surface or subsurface. Relocate power and other line poles, which combine the poles dimension includes the whole rack power supply, which is complicated. Install streetscape and infrastructure. I'm not entirely sure what that. I don't, well, I don't know that.
Part of the RFPs.
Which financing. I don't go, for recommend ever if you try to fund financing of. Structure it so that they meet certain guidelines and then they can back off. That's where it is. It feels to me like a contract or the land option. Because frankly, my pointed it out, we have per se a finance arrangement for the project right now.
John, you had a question?
Yeah, there is no other option. Under the 3 options, we said, accept the LOI as written, reject and counter the LOI, or and then number 3, which is what Rich was talking about. But there could be another, we could reject the LOI, ask for a counter, still proceed with the request for qualifications. I don't know why we couldn't do that, rather than turning the property over. I'll be honest with you, there's no way that I'm gonna sign this. This is just a blanket. This is the blanket, no date. Yet you get exclusivity on the contract with no sunset. That's what it says when I first, and I can't. There's no way.
You understand. If you did sign and you dated 30 days from that date, you are dropped it by the developers.
Robin, your question, Robin?
It's, I guess what I'm feeling is that on the clarity of I'm here, that's where I'm a little concerned, because we're talking about a lot of responsibility on the city. And as a council person, it is our responsibility to be very confident about what we're doing, that we're making the best decision. I think we all are in favor of this, but this is very.
Okay, option 3 does not freeze Pure Point Development out from submitting what they already know. We're asking for RFQs and apply to them just like anybody else that might be interested in developing that property. I don't know that there's anybody else out there at this time that's been looking at this property to, I would say you're probably leg up on the rest of the that might want to develop. But we can't write a new LOI for them, and there's so many problems in this LOI as it is. It's not counter their LOI. We're not saying no, give us this. These are the terms we think we want. We don't even know how much it's going to cost to redo all the power lines of Walrat or the cityscape or all the utilities. What's left underneath the ground for any kind of a foundation that was there for the old. It's all unknown.
We, sign off with no dollar amount. Risk is.
So here,
So all of it is, you're asking for 30 days. You're gonna sell this property in 30 days to someone.
right.
Does everyone agree?
So we can.
So you come up with an offer.
Yeah.
In 30 days.
And
And and provide financing.
we'll take LOI out of it. That won't be 30 days. Take LOI out. Now, the reason that responsible, you're saying you have to have some responsibility
As is where it is
for this.
all the time. Could be.
That's the whole. We can counter offer. It's the negotiation. This is just a letter of intent.
So, or whether we call it a letter.
The problem that I have, Mike, is if it's 445,000, because it's spelled out in this document. This might be beneficial to the city council. That's where it looks. Project plan and district only. If you want it. So, I mean, that you have in here, buried power lines, this, that. I mean, instead of costing 400. You're asking us for an awful lot. You're asking us to promise an awful lot. And we don't know what it's gonna cost either. Plus, you're asking us to turn over control of probably a piece of property that's the most valuable piece of property in Lake Michigan. You're looking at 3.2 acres on a protected harbor. You can find that somewhere in Lake Michigan. I'd like to know where it is. But it's 3.2 acres on a protected harbor. It's not 3.2 acres. So I'm
Unbuildable. If it's unbuildable, then yeah, I think I can. No, if it's unbuildable. I'm not saying it is, but we're all, every time I've been. Big butt in it. I don't really know, we don't know how much it's going to be. And we don't know.
What is the risk to you and your investors to give the financial backing, to prove to the city that the financial backing is there and the commitment is there if it's a buildable site.
Don't do.
That's fine.
Yeah, especially.
Well, it'd be a closed session negotiation with the developer agreement.
I've been involved.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Wendy,
Saying, are you talking about, you know, built on architect law space, or you talking about renovation? So, I think that there's, so,
And I heard. Water tables. When we go to.
no one's showing you how that there are problems with it, or that they're not.
Saying there are problems.
Okay, where we got like everything done except for the BOC.
That was my understanding. If I'm wrong, Dan. I believe there is continued obligation to the city. Some sort of contamination. They don't know the limits of it. How to get off that whole environment. I would probably. Testing and method.
an additional phase two, because we did a phase two on that, didn't we?
That there was one done in 2009, but they would probably required again. It actually won't be approval. Things like that, a lot of those things might have actually broken down or improved. But from us digging into it, if it was identified. On us, enough 4 holes to find it. Okay, there's no. Okay, I'll be fine what those limits were defined.
Incumbent on the city in order to produce that information, hand over to any subsequent. So we could do that.
Stated you got a letter from them.
Somewhere in 40. All they did is do a very formal letter and I have it. Based on what your description of your project. Require additional testing or additional cycle.
When they, there's 0 component of residential possible? Is that what you're saying, or is it, or it can't be that? Because it's a typical all this.
No.
Oh, it's no. Not even that.
Under that, and, also like, would be.
Timeshare something.
Right, right.
He would have never gotten the money for that project down there if that was condo development. City would have never gotten the funding to that. State would have never funded
It was economic development.
economic development. Just so everybody knows, I mean, there was a reason for that. Because the money, the 4.2 was not a grant. That was the budget. That was direct line in the state budget.
No match.
That was the match, but that was not a grant. This year. Because we didn't have the 20% funding for the $4.2 million, the city needed $800,000. With that match. So the state actually wrote special legislation for the city of Kewaunee to get that budget asked. We were the only city in the entire state that got money in the state budget.
And now that we've got the site, let's decide what we want to do with it, John. Please. So where do we want to go with this, council?
I guess I don't see a problem like with giving you the 30 days, of the exclusivity. I'm looking at one last ditch effort here to get this going. But that's where I'm at. But it's been fine. And I mean, we can't, you want to keep moving, we want to keep moving forward. But I guess, I'm looking at giving to another, and I know how everybody feels about exclusivity, but I think Eric's right. We have to sell the property in the next 30 days.
Why can't we do the RFQs? They can still come with a proposal.
For an exclusivity after the next 30
It's
days.
gonna sell in 30 days. We've had that already. What difference does it make? And the exclusivity goes along with all their taglines.
You're telling me you can't make an offer of the. in exclusivity.
They wanted to think.
And I think what. Going in. You letter of intent. 30 days. Properties. Specifics on who's responsible for what. Come up with an offer and provide. You're getting your exclusivity, and you can submit an offer, and you can look at it, and we can negotiate with it.
And you're satisfied with the. Sources.
So you guys are,
And
one-
that's,
you tell me.
and then we're off and running.
Well, our attorney would be satisfied with whatever document you would bring in. I wouldn't.
It's a starting point to negotiation, but fair enough. Yeah, you bring an offer to the table. You get 30 days. No details on the price of the property, no details on who's responsible for what. Well, until we see an offer.
That would be included in the offer. So
Yeah.
you're saying strictly just a exclusivity agreement
For 30 days, so they can bring us on.
That's all we're talking about. Are you making a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to give them.
Because you already made a motion.
I'll just let it up tomorrow.
You guys made a motion.
I'm making a motion.
But you voted on it.
It died. We can't make another motion?
No, because it's done. It got voted down.
Item 3 suggestion, you can't make a different,
No, because this is, the motion was for this item. These were your council options.
but we're doing no action.
You took action,
We took action to do nothing in regards to the LOI.
right? You took action to reject the LOI. And
So
to
this
proceed
line,
with
I need to
RFQs.
move on to item 8, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well,
Just can't do anything tonight.
But this,
Right, but you guys took action. So this
All right,
item is
All
done.
right, we're gonna move on to item.
You should have made a motion.
we should have been told that. And why weren't we told that before we even?
Okay, so, salary for incoming police chief.
The salary.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Sorry, Jim. Any further discussion? Please take the roll.
Eric Wozniacki.
Aye.
Kathy Brown is absent. John Blaha. James Brewster.
Aye.
Wendy Shelton.
Aye.
Janita Zimmerman.
Aye.
Robin Nelson.
Aye.
Richard Taylor.
Motion carried. Item 8B, approve raise for water wastewater operator above cost of living adjustment as budgeted. Who got it over there? You? Robin? Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Eric Woznicki, Kathy Brown is absent, John Blaha, James Brewster, Wendy Shelton, Jenny Zimmerman,
Aye.
Robin Nelson,
Aye.
Richard Taylor.
Motion carried. Approve raise for marina manager above cost of living adjustment as budgeted. Do we have a motion? Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Eric Woznicki, Kathy Brown is absent, John Blaha, James Brewster, Wendy Shelton, Janita Zimmerman, Robin Nelson, Richard Taylor.
Motion carried. 8E, approve revised cemetery policies brochure. The motion. Oh, E, or what?
D,
D, sorry, approve amendment to the city of Kewaunee personnel manual regarding dispersal of sick time compensation. Go ahead.
who seconded?
Janita, second.
No, Wendy, got it.
On that item? Okay, then we'll ask for the motion and then during. All right,
There was Robin and Wendy.
those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 8E, approve revised cemetery policies brochure. Have a motion.
I move that we approve it. Correction of the typos of. Permit.
Any discussion?
No, that's
You're good?
The back of it.
The back of the tombstones.
To allow a medallion.
And then the, what people.
Two more, yeah. And some cemeteries have, you can, I don't think any more than three. I don't think.
So I would make a motion that we would, correct the typographical error from the permit. Allow a military plaque on the back of. Three. Cremation. In grave site.
I'll second.
Right.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. F, approve declaration of Arbor Day for Tree City USA for 2023 for the city of Kewaunee. We have a motion.
Motion, I'll second.
All those in favor, or any for discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion. 8G, adopt resolution approving a 3-lot certified survey map from parcel numbers 241-00340, 0420, and 241-00340-0402, KCDT LLC applicant. Do we have a motion?
Move the motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Financial reports, month ending November 2022. Any additions or corrections?
Let's explain what is not correct.
Yes.
Do you want the motion first and then the discussion?
Can I have a motion to approve the financial reports? And if so, you can make it in your motion to, like you did last month.
Make a motion.
Understanding.
With the understanding that, the tax reports.
Inaccuracies. We have a motion. Is there a second? Okay, you want to continue the discussion?
So when you're saying that they're inaccurate, it's not what's coming out of the software program. Okay, the first 3 pages of your financial reports are a spreadsheet. And I have a spreadsheet that I enter in on one sheet of the workbook. I have an input page and I input all of the numbers, which are after I balance each checking account or each bank account. I enter those balances into that input sheet, which then somehow transfers that information to the second worksheet in that book, okay? And that is where the discrepancy is lying, okay? So those numbers that I'm inputting, which are accurate because they're coming from the bank statements that agree with the software program. But however, somewhere in that financial state, in that spreadsheet, the formulas are not accurate. So a spreadsheet is only as good as the information you're putting into it and the formulas that you're creating. So going forward with the new software, I am not going to be relying on a spreadsheet anymore. Okay, that's what the software is for. That's what Workforce will do for us. I showed Wendy the report, and right now, of course, it says zeros because we don't have any beginning balances yet. And I did talk with Workhorse, and we're hoping within a couple weeks.
And I don't work in numbers and her computer. Not, but it's the reports being generated.
They're not able to be transferred onto those
So
reports.
the numbers are, those in particular are different.
All right, any further discussion? We'll get it fixed, then, call roll in, please. We don't need a roll.
You don't need a roll.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. 8I, Common Council consideration of litigation. The Common Council may enter closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851G for the purpose of conferring with city attorney who is rendering oral advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the city council with respect to litigation which it is or is likely to become involved. Specifically litigation relating to a nuisance maintained by a property owner within the city limits, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters as discussed there. And we have a motion.
Motion. I'll-
Please call the roll.
Eric Woznicki. Kathy Brown is absent. John Blaha. James Brewster. Wendy Shelton. Janita Zimmerman.
Aye.
Robin Nelson.
Aye.
Richard Taylor.
Motion carried. You want to take a 2 minute?
What time? It's thank you. I'm not military, so that's 8. Thank you. I paused it. No, I don't know. I don't like this thing at all. He's on there. Okay. Can you hear us, Tony?
I can hear most of you. Can you hear me?
We don't hear you.
No?
Yeah, mute him, I bet.
No.
No, he's not muted.
No, he's not.
Your volume on you. You're muted.
Well, I have to be muted on my computer because otherwise
Feedback.
you're going to hear.
Well, you're on the recording, so we can go to.
Well, I have to put, okay, so I'm gonna end this somehow. I don't know how. And we're gonna go back to the, okay, got it. More. So is this? All right, let's expand this.